Hey everyone! Today I'd like to share a few thoughts with you about a movie that I finally got a chance to see a couple days ago. It is a Chinese film from 1995 titled The Phantom Lover. The original title is Yiban Geisheng, I guess. This movie is a loose Phantom of the Opera retelling, hence my interest in it, and hence why I'm giving it its own special review. I first heard of this movie years ago here on YouTube from the Phantom Reviewer, who reviews anything and everything related to the Phantom of the Opera, the good, the bad, and the absolutely mind-numbingly terrible. Actually, if we want to go back really far, I heard him talk about the original version of this movie first. This 1995 film is a remake of a 1937 Chinese horror classic, Song at Midnight. And it's not the first remake either. Song at Midnight was remade in 1941, in 1962 as a two-parter, and in 1985 as well. Apparently, it's a very popular story in China. And just for the record, I'd like to state that I like the original title, Song at Midnight, much better than The Phantom Lover, which makes this sound like something completely different. So I was aware of this movie already, but it was like a minor blip on my radar, one of the hundreds of movies that I would like to see sometime. And then one of you recommended it a few months back on another Phantom video that I did, and that prompted me to look it up at the library. I don't know why I hadn't done this before. Just slipped my mind. I was under the impression that it was a rare film and would be difficult to track down, but it turns out my library network had one copy. So there you go. And then, of course, right after we watched it, I found out that Amazon Prime has it available for streaming. Go figure. The big question, at least if you're a Phantom fan like me, is The Phantom Lover really a Phantom of the Opera adaptation? Well, it's got a theater that people think is haunted, music and performances are prominently featured, there's a singer/composer who also built the theater who ends up disfigured, he covers himself with a hooded cloak and hides, and he gives the main character singing lessons. I don't know, that sounds pretty phantom-y to me. But in reality, the story differs quite a lot from Gaston Leroux's. This Phantom character is not a murderer, he's not insane, he's not dangerously obsessed, he's not blackmailing anyone, there's no mask, no organ, though there is a piano, there's no ingenue character named Christine, no Carlotta, no Box 5, no is he a man or an angel or the ghost of my father thing, no underground lair. So, what's left? Like I said, it's a loose retelling. The similarities have less to do with specific plot details and more to do with the theater setting and the mood and certain circumstances. The story, set in 1936, involves a theater troupe that sets up shop at an old theater. 10 years ago, this theater was damaged by a fire that claimed the life of its massively popular leading actor, Song Dan-ping. But as one member of the troupe learns, there's more to it than that. Song's story, revealed in a lengthy flashback, is one of romance and tragedy, involving class differences, an arranged marriage, violence, and madness. It turns out, however, that Song Dan-ping is not dead. He's been living secretly at the theater, his face disfigured by acid and fire. He gives the younger actor his Romeo and Juliet score for the troupe to perform, and coaches him to help him assume his old role. But Song Dan-ping has an ulterior motive. I am 99.8% sure this is my first Chinese film. I had no idea what it would be like, how the performances might be, so I was very pleasantly surprised by how good the movie was. I had my doubts going into it. But it didn't take long for them to disappear. The photography is great, there's some beautiful imagery, not just appealing to look at, but evoking a mood or communicating a character's psychological state. The film is strong on atmosphere, which is an important thing for any Phantomish movie in my opinion. I think I noticed the visuals even more because the dialogue is in a foreign language, and this DVD actually gives you a choice between a Cantonese and a Mandarin audio track. Also, the subtitles are small and tend to disappear against a bright background, which was not a good thing, was actually a bit of a headache, but they were unobtrusive. What's nice is that the movie isn't dependent on dialogue to tell the story. So if I missed some dialogue because it was basically invisible, that wasn't a big deal. And of course, there's the music, another highlight. The musical score is always an important factor in any Phantom adaptation, whether the adaptation is intended to be scary or romantic. And the music is a big part of this story, as it should be, with so much of the story revolving around the theater and live performances. Twice, in the past and in the present, a musical production of Romeo and Juliet is staged. We first hear the love song from the balcony scene, which is nice, but not especially memorable. As the scene is going on, we're also cutting away to be introduced to main characters sitting in the audience, so the duet isn't the main focus. That's not the case for the main song, which is the one sung by Romeo over Juliet's body when he thinks she's dead and is about to drink the poison and take his own life. It's a good thing this song is so pretty because we hear it a lot. Between the two main characters, we get to listen to it at least 5 times. I don't know what the lyrics are. They're provided on the side, but they're in Chinese, so that's not helpful. I didn't mind, though. You're able to figure it out from context, especially if you're familiar with Romeo and Juliet. And more importantly, the emotion in the music tells you what you need to know. However, I'm just reporting on the DVD that I watched. I did take a look at the version that Amazon Prime is streaming, and it's different. The subtitles are bigger, although the subtitles themselves are not perfectly translated. Well, I can't speak for the translation, obviously, but there are some strange typos, but at least they're legible, and the lyrics of the main song are provided. I don't know if that's better or not. The Prime version is also about 5 minutes shorter, but I think that's because they cut off the final replay of the main song after the credits have concluded, so I don't think you're actually missing any content, you're just missing out on a chance to hear that song again. It was very interesting and unusual to watch a pseudo-Phantom film and essentially have no idea where the story's going. I really liked the scene when the main character, I'm sorry, I know I'll mess up the character's name if I try to pronounce it, so I won't bother, when he first encounters Song. The build-up and the atmosphere and the reveal were all really good. I also really enjoyed the scene when that character performs as Romeo for the first time. In rehearsal with Song, he struggled to hit the high note, and yes, it's got a twist on the singing lessons angle. He's afraid he's not going to be able to hit the note and sustain it live, so he kind of ducks down behind Juliet, and at that moment, Song, hiding off stage, sings that part for him. I loved that. I always like scenes in these films where we get to see the Phantom moved by music. Music is such a huge element of the story. Any version that doesn't have a scene in which we see the Phantom get lost for a moment in the sheer beauty and joy of music, whether it's the composition of it or the performance of it, is leaving out a big part of the character, and a big factor that makes him appealing or sympathetic or human. So I was pleased when they emphasized this. As Song Dan-ping, actor-singer Leslie Chung does a very fine job. All the characters are compelling, well, except the bad ones, and I found the main female characters' decline into madness especially sad and pitiful. Like I said, it's a tragic romance. What begins as a charming love story takes a dark turn. Which is to be expected, of course. True love never runs smooth in this scenario. But I didn't expect it to get as dark as it did. There is a little bit of adult content here involving the arranged marriage, including one scene that went a little further than I anticipated. It was brief, but when you're watching it with your mom, and you weren't expecting it, and you had already told her, no, don't worry, I don't think there's anything in this, it can get awkward. It was a creepy, cringy, catatonic wedding night scene. So there's that. There's also some abuse that can be quite shocking. And yet, amazingly, this movie has a bittersweet but happy ending. It's much more positive than the ending of most Phantom films. Oh, and for those of you wondering how is the deformity makeup, it's alright, it's not bad. Bumpy. Really, when his face is revealed, I could tell by the way it was filmed that it was supposed to be more shocking than it actually was. Not that it's pretty, it's got texture and it's kind of bubbly, but it's another one of those deformities that mercifully covers only about half of his face. Just show this side and he looks fine. I enjoyed this movie, much more than I anticipated. It's certainly not a close adaptation of The Phantom of the Opera, but I didn't expect it to be, and I liked it for what it was. I got pulled into the story and enjoyed it on an emotional and an aesthetic level. There are some wonky and weird films out there that fall under the Phantom umbrella, but I don't think this is one of them. Among the dozens of films that are Phantom but not really, this is a good one. I just found out that the original film, Song at Midnight, is also currently available on Amazon Prime for streaming. I'm sure I'll watch it sometime soonish and let you know what I think of that. I believe it leans a little more toward horror than romance. Plus, it was made in the 30s, so I'm sure it will be different. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, especially if you happen to have seen this movie, and I will be back soon with another review. Thanks for watching!